everybody, and welcome to another episode of World of Warships closed beta testing Motorboating with Mammeries. This is the Tanks for the Mammeries YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be talking about the Umikaze destroyer, the Tier 2 Japanese destroyer, the Umikaze. And the reason I'm doing a YouTube video on this ship is because I think that, frankly, tier for tier, this Japanese destroyer is one of the best ships in the game. And, you know, like all destroyers, it's it's thinly armored. It doesn't have the turning, ability of the Sims or anything like that. It's relatively fast at 33 knots. It's got a 530 meter turning circle, whereas the Sims, the Sims is a 500, so it's a 30 meter turning circle bigger than the Sims, and it's 6 knots slower. But I gotta say, the concealment is very, very good on this. And this is when I started playing this the other day. I'd gotten it way back in the beginning of the beta test, closed beta test, and just kind of blew my way right through it. But I decided to go back the other day and have another look at it, because I've been seeing it a good bit in games when I'm playing the Cleveland. And there's something to it. There's a lot of people using it and seem to be fairly successful. So I decided to take another look at it. And the reason I did was because, looking at the concealment here on this, it has a surface detectability range of 5.6 kilometers and an air detectability range of 2.9 kilometers. And being that it's at Tier 2, you are likely not going to see a tremendous number of aircraft carriers in the game at those tiers. You might, if you get bumped up to Tier 3 or you division with somebody who's going to bump you up to Tier 4, then you'll see aircraft carriers. But for the most part, you're probably not going to see a whole lot in the way of aircraft carriers. And so, I'm not so concerned about the air detectability range, but the surface detectability range at 5.6 kilometers is pretty darn good. Bearing in mind also that when you upgrade the ship, for example, if you start out with the regular with the 1911 hull and the Type 42 torpedoes, the torpedo range on the Type 42s is only 4.5 kilometers, which means that with your surface detectability range of 5.6, you still got to get in there a good bit to drop some torpedoes that have a range of 4.5. However, when you upgrade the ship, then you go to the Type 44 Mod 2 torpedoes with a range of 8 kilometers, and it is a whole different ballgame. You can essentially reload the torpedo tubes in 30 seconds. You've got a total of 4 torpedo tubes, and you've got a range of 8 kilometers. You cannot be spotted for about 2.5 kilometers with the opportunity to fire in there and get away at 33 knots with a decent turning radius of 530 meters, so you can zoom in, fire torpedoes, and zoom back out again. In practice, in theory, that's the plan. In practice, it does take a little bit of effort to try and, not get yourself sucked into being spotted along the way, and watching out for other ships and stuff like that. But you can, if you do it right, actually get in there, drop a ton of torpedoes, because you're 30-second reload, at a great distance, and get back out again. And you have smoke. If you do get spotted, you can use your smoke to hide behind and use that 33 knots and 530 meter turning circle to zigzag your way out of trouble. So, bearing all that in mind, and actually, let's talk about the guns real quick. The guns are not fantastic when it comes to the turning radius. But chances are, if you are in a destroyer, you're planning your approach anyway. And if you're planning your approach, you've already got the angle of attack and the angle of escape figured out. You sort of know how you're going in and what you're going to do to leave. You should anyway. And so the turning radius time on the guns, or the turning time on the battery, is really, to me, not that big a deal. It fires 6 rounds a minute, so it's got a decent reload time. And the dispersion's pretty good. You're going to be firing up close anyway. And, you know, it hits okay for a destroyer. So, you know, although they don't turn very quickly like pretty much all Japanese ships, the guns are not bad on this. So, you know, I wouldn't suggest that they're the primary armament, but, you know, if you're already aiming at somebody with your torpedo tubes, you are in sight, then you have the opportunity to take a shot or two. So, and they'll do some damage. So anyway, enough about that. Basically, so I started replaying the ship, and, you know, I think it's a very, very good learning vessel for learning how to fire torpedoes and learning how to get in and get out quickly. So, with that in mind, I've got a couple of replays to show you, and I will sort of commentate during the replays, you know, what my thoughts were at specific times, and you can see how quickly the torpedoes reload, and you know, some of the damage that you can do with those along the way. So anyhow, stick around, take a look at the video, and if you're interested in learning how to play destroyers, I strongly urge you to go to the Umikaze and learn how to play Japanese destroyers with that one, because again, at Tier 2 you don't see much in the way of aircraft carriers. You can really use your stealth and concealment and your range on the torpedoes to do some significant damage. If you want to learn American destroyers, get the SEMS. It is well worth having. It can teach you a lot about having to maneuver your ship, use the guns, and use torpedoes as a last resort. So anyway, appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe at the end. So we're going to jump right in and talk about a couple of things today in all of this. What I've done is compile a couple of different fights that I had over the course of yesterday in this Umikaze. And I'm going to sort of edit the clips down a bit to get to the interesting parts. For example, like right here, where rather than sit you guys through 20 seconds of, you know, to 2 minutes of cranking the ship up and getting it moving, I've decided to, and frankly, to be honest with you, most of these are losses. And some of them are, there's a weird loss in here that I'll get to in a little bit, but I was going to put some torpedoes down there, saw that I had a destroyer there, but he died. So I'm going to go ahead and fire some into the smoke and keep moving out. So they're going to spot me, but I've already got some torpedoes away, and I am 10 seconds from reloading the first set of tubes. So the reload on this is extremely fast. If you add the captain's skills of having not only the torpedo armaments thing, but the fact that the ship reloads torpedoes in under 30 seconds, you can actually fire these really quickly. So there's another set of 4 going down range there, and what's going to happen in just a second is, of the first batch that I fired, there you go, 1 destroyer sunk, hit him with a torpedo. Now I'm smoking to get away from the fire that I was just taking there, but I put 4 torpedoes down range into that smoke cloud in the thought that something would happen because of that. So put another 2 more down range there. I knew that they would get past my my sister ship as they moved up to that fight. Now, a couple of seconds later, we're coming back into the smoke cloud that those 2 enemy destroyers left there, and I'm going to try and swing around to get my torpedoes in on this guy, but they're really, I'm going to get him in, but he's going to turn to avoid him. So as soon as I fire, I'm going to switch to guns, and he's able to dodge these. But as I get into guns, and as I said in the beginning of this intro of this video, the guns are not bad. I mean, you know, if they're already aligned to the target you're aiming for anyway, you might as well put some shots down on them, and that's what we're going to do right here. So, you know, there's number 2 down. Now my tubes are up and reloaded to this point, so I'm going to try and bring those to bear on this guy, and I don't do a very good job of torpedoing this guy. I should have let that second set go a little further to catch him in an X, but he's able to dodge these, and I think that's an Erie. He's able to dodge them. I'm going to put some gunfire into him, but at this point, this is just me not being very good at firing torpedoes at people. So I totally miss him with both of those. I'm trying to use the aim the lead indicator as a guide for shooting torpedoes, but not to necessarily always put them straight down where it says. I'm trying to anticipate people on ships like this, turning to avoid my torpedoes. And so I'm not the best in the world at it, but we're going to try to put some more down there on him. And then know that there's another ship coming around the corner here. So I don't get any more on those guys, but I'm also trying to do a little experimentation with the narrow aim reference versus the wide aim reference, and when it's appropriate to use that in firing torpedoes. At this point, the team's pretty far down, which seemed to be sort of the case throughout the series of early matches that I had, but I wasn't overly concerned with winning or losing. I was really more concerned about being able to fire torpedoes properly. So, anticipating where people are going to be coming around islands, and doing my best to try and ambush people at a distance, out of their sight range, and be able to extract myself from trouble when I got into it. So here's somebody coming directly towards me, and at this point I'm gonna do a little, since he's coming straight at me, I figured I'd put the bulk of the torpedoes right smack down in front of him. He's got me spotted. I'm gonna go ahead and smoke out again, try and get out of range. And then I figured I'd go around back to the other side, because those guys are going to be coming down there, and at this point it's pretty much just going to be me. We're getting to where it's, there you go. So I did kill that guy. I think that was a St. Louis that was coming through there, but he didn't swerve out of the way, and there was a lot of torpedoes in his path. So the very end of that same game, I'm the last one left on the team, and I know there's somebody over here, so I'm just trying to put a whole bunch of torpedoes in the way in the hopes that he'll run into him before he spots me. But doesn't look like it's gonna happen, and I pay too much attention to where my torpedoes are going and not enough attention to where my ship was going. So yeah, bang into it, and knowing that as soon as I hit that, this guy was going to be coming around the corner. I'm trying to get more torpedoes out, and there he is, and they're heading towards him, but I'm not going to get him. And he has spotted me, and he is going to get me right away. So I'm pretty much toast at this point. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. And they're capping us out too. I just don't understand that. I mean, at low tiers, why cap when there's one guy left on the enemy team? Anyway, so there we go. So that's match number one. Whatever. But I did have a couple of torpedo hits there. Was pleased with that. And so we're well underway, even though we died and lost. I'm okay with it. Still hitting them. So into the next match here. Same sort of thing. Tried to go to pretty much exactly the same area. Now this one, I'm basically going to be the second ship that gets into this little, sort of little bay or protected cove or whatever you want to call it. This Wilkes is going to beat me in there. And my plan was to get in there first and fire a load of torpedoes straight down the valley just to get a bunch off right off the bat. But because this guy's in front of me, I'm going to hold off. And I'm going to try and let him get around. And if he gets out of the way, then I will, as I turn to starboard to go to the cove, fire some straight down the line. There's another destroyer behind me. And well, there's two more behind me. So it's the Wilkes, then it's me, and then there's two other folks behind me. And this is a pretty tight space. You don't want to be firing willy-nilly just any old place, because you got your own ships that are going to have to start maneuvering when fire comes in. So I don't take the shot because my destroyer's there, and I'm not sure which direction he's going to turn, so I don't want to put any torpedoes, straight up his ass while he's trying to maneuver. But I do know that there's an enemy destroyer that's already made the turn to come into the cove, so I'm assuming that this guy right here I should be able to get a shot into. However, I have to turn my ship really hard to get the angle on him, and I'm not going to do a very good job of that. But I've got to maneuver to get off the shore, and again, it's a tight space. Now the idiot behind me is going to fire torpedoes, and I'm too busy trying to maneuver and avoid this guy's fire and his torpedoes to think that somebody on my own team is fired directly behind me, knowing that I have to maneuver in this space. And there I go. So I get killed. And I say, thanks, dude. Excellent job. Really appreciate that. And he says, I suck. Now, I'm trying to maneuver to avoid enemy fire. He's right behind me, and he shoots torpedoes. He says, I suck. Then he comes along and bangs right into one of our own ships. So there he goes, bang. He hits our own guy and causes him to die. So excellent job there, dude. Really well played. But, you're tier 2. That's what happens. And it's time to move on to the next game after I give him a couple of choice words like, don't shoot your own team in the ass, and once you fire, it'd be nice to apologize if you hit somebody on your own team, which he never did throughout the whole game. And I'll be the first one to say, look, I screw up. When I screw up, though, I will say, hey, apologies, sorry about that, whatever. This guy just told me I sucked because he shot me in the ass. So, really bad game. Obviously, here's the final score for it. I did essentially nothing. Well, moving on. Yeah, 85 experience. At this point, we were able to change maps, and which is nice because I was getting a little tired of that same map over and over again. And I do like having a bit more elbow room around mountains. And the ability to try and use your ship's turning ability and distance. The ability to open up the distance to keep from being spotted. I like that on some of these maps right here. Again, domination mode. Paying attention to just my little piece of the battle, I thought things were going just fine. So I'm about to put some out there, and I'm spotted now because that destroyer came around the corner and I didn't see him. So I'm going to lay some torpedoes out there, and then try and get out of dodge real quick. Smoke it up, and I should be reloaded by the time I come around this hill, this island. So I think this is the weird fight. I think this is the one where it ends really quickly for some reason. So there it goes. I hit that cruiser that I was aiming at, and I run into the edge of the map. But actually, running into the edge of the map is kind of interesting because whatever the physics do on here can really screw up enemy shots. And it's interesting how that works. So I'm going to lay some more torpedoes downrange, and hopefully that guy's going to blunder into them. And since there's no limit to the number of torpedoes you can fire and how quickly they reload, now I'm going to shoot here, but I don't because I see my own guy right there, and I decide better not fire across his path. Same with the next guy. There's targets in there to shoot at, but I'm not going to do it because my own guy is right there. And you just never know when somebody's maneuvering. They are not paying attention to friendly ships, which is reasonable. So now that he's out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and put some into that smoke, because smoke works both ways. They can't, it's hard for you to see them, but it's also really hard for them to see you. Now I'm going to take a hit here. Oh no, I didn't. I dodged that one. Right. I'm going to take a hit from one of these guys eventually. But a little later on in the same battle, is it this one? Yeah, I knew I took a hit somewhere in there. Did not kill me. I was really surprised that I did not die. A little later on in the same battle, that's the same guy. We keep dodging around each other, and I'm getting tired of it because I'm not hitting him very well. He also went up against the wall there. Going to get some shots into him, and then I'm going to go ahead and launch some torpedoes. And then, rather than continue to fight this guy, I'm just going to get out of dodge. So I'm off and leaving him to it. The enemy has 2 of the caps. They're way ahead on points by 400 something points. So I figured there's something else I could be doing better than chasing this guy all over the map.
Can I read what?
Which was smart of him. If I'd kept chasing him, you know, more power to him, they'd have an easier time capping. So I decided it's time to head back in and see if I can't do something else. Make my way back towards B. Looking to make sure he's not chasing me. And there it goes. We got him. So, again, this 8-kilometer range, good stuff. Gotta like it. A little later on, same fight. We're just not having a whole lot of luck. We've clawed it back a little bit, a couple hundred points. Now this one, that enemy ship right there blows up our friendly. There's basically just 3 of us left. My tubes are not reloaded. I'm taking fire from pretty much everywhere. He smokes it up. I'm hoping I can get reloaded in time to send these down range. So I fire a narrow band where I think he's going to go and a wider band, and then I got to get out of here. So I smoke it up and try and spin around behind that island so those guys can't shoot me anymore. Waiting for my tubes to reload in 3 seconds. Now this guy's coming straight at me. So again, trying to practice with that narrow band, wide band thing. I want to put those where I think they're going to do the most good if he continues to come around. And he spotted me and he was really on top of me. So while we're waiting around for that to happen, I was pretty sure I got that guy. No. Basically, there's just 2 of us left alive at this point. We're not going to win. We're getting capped out. Short of us being able to kill every single enemy ship, this is not going to happen. I'm waiting for that destroyer to pop out from behind me. Put some torpedoes in on him. Just in case he comes around the corner, I can shoot him in the face. I'm commenting all this to myself last night, or yesterday afternoon. My girlfriend was in the kitchen doing something, and I'm muttering back and forth about, I want to shoot you in the face. Right, so this guy finally comes out from behind the island. My tubes are reloaded. Have the opportunity to shoot him. And I get off 2 sets of torpedoes, and he hits the island. Yikes. I totally blew that. So now I got to go to guns. But like I said, these guns, you know, if you've got them aimed and angled. Okay, so the torpedo I fired just a minute ago finally hit somebody, which is good. But I've got my guns angled at this guy. And the way I'm figuring this out is, whichever side you're going to be firing torpedoes from is the side that you should have your gun angled to. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's how I figure the best way to be effective with this thing is. So he's still stuck by that island. I'm going to put a few more shots on him, and I'm assuming I'm going to hit him with these torpedoes, and it's like they're right there. They're right there. Knew that was going to miss, but this one I thought it was going to hit him for sure, and it misses. I'm like, God almighty, come on. So I don't have him. That guy's too far out of range, and then all of a sudden, boom, the other 2 that I launched got him. So good, but now it's just me, And the enemy's at, what, 500 and something, and there's just no way I'm going to win this. So I'm just doing my best to take somebody out, and that's going to be that, unfortunately. So another loss, but I'm alive, and I was able to use my torpedoes relatively effectively, and ended up with a pretty decent score there. This fight, this was a good fight, and I actually had a tremendous number of hits in this match, and again we lose, but you know what can you do? Or maybe not, I can't remember if this is the one or not. One of these ends really quickly. One of these ends stupidly quickly. I think it's this one. Yeah, so again, you know, starting out the same way, heading this direction, trying to get some torpedoes down that alleyway and then into around this island. But this guy shows up right away, and I got to put some fire into him. He launched early, so at this point it's just guns until I can get reloaded. Torpedoes will be reloaded in 5 seconds, something like that. They're up. Put some shots down range on this guy, and this time I do not actually hit the barrier like I did in the last game. Again, a couple of friendly ships in the way, so I'm not going to shoot those guys. But I am going to get back in the fight. Try and get back into the smoke and into the fight. Now, there's still a lot of friendly ships and stuff, and torpedoes all over the place in the water there. But I should be able to hit this guy. Boom. Boom. Go to guns. I'm waiting for the reload. Try and get out of the way because I'm figuring he launched torpedoes. I don't want to be in the middle of that. So again, you know, you see, and I'm kind of getting sucked into the fight a bit, and it ends up being a turning fight here. And what I was originally trying to do with all this was be able to sit out at, you know, 6 kilometers, 7 kilometers, and fire torpedoes at people, but we just didn't have it. Now this game ended like really quick, and I don't understand why. We had 100 and something points, and they had 500 something points, and there were still ships of ours left in the game. I don't know why it ended so quickly, but it did. So this is the next game. This is the last game that I played in the Umikaze yesterday, and I would have played more, except that I was having a hard time getting games in less than a minute and a half. Okay, so down the throat, and down the throat. And this guy's not even paying attention to me. I don't understand what that was about, but he paid no attention to me whatsoever. So, if you're going to be like that, I've got no problem with it. Anyway, those are heading straight to him. And we get a decent hit. It's not going to be a killer because it was bow on, but we got a decent hit. So, send a couple more his way. And try to smoke my way out of dodge. He's still getting pretty good shots on me. There we go. 2 more. And 2 more. There's something I've noticed. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this. If you do, leave some notes in the comments section here on the video. But I've noticed that when somebody is generating smoke in the smoke screen, you can actually see them generating the smoke. There, hit him again. So put 2 more into that guy, or at least 1 more into that guy. Did a little cap defense there. It's good stuff. But you can see a destroyer generating smoke because there'll be a bit of the smoke that is more. There we go. Another good hit on him. There'll be like part of the smoke that just looks thicker, or how do I say it? It's not just thicker, but it's I should have switched these out for wider angle. He's dead. Anyway, when a ship is generating smoke in the smoke screen, if you peer into the smoke screen in binocular view, there's like a little bit of the smoke screen that looks thicker than the rest, and it's kind of boiling up. That is where, from what I can tell, and I've noticed it a bunch of times, pretty much every time I look into smoke, that is where the ship is actually generating the smoke inside the cloud, as far as I can tell. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm seeing. And I also see that near that knuckle of thicker smoke, when the enemy fires, that's where the shell flashes are coming from. So I don't know if you guys notice this or not, but you might want to take a look next time you see a destroyer in the smoke there, and see if you don't notice it sort of being in the area where there's a little thicker cloud. I'm not going to be able to hit those guys. There's a destroyer coming over to the other side there. I'm just circling around in the middle of the map, waiting for people to get in there. So let's see if it shows it here. I don't know if I can zoom in, if I'm going to zoom in or not. But that's something else that's I found interesting with this is that firing a couple of sets of torpedoes into a smoke cloud, I actually got some hits out of it that way. I think we're about to see some here. I think when those torpedoes get into that smoke cloud, they're going to actually hit somebody in there. There's a destroyer coming straight down this pipe. Let's see if we're going to be able to hit this guy or not. He's almost to the edge of range. Spin the other way. There we go. That's a lot of torpedoes. Right, just come around this island. Should be reloaded by the time I get around the island. And that's something else I think that a lot of people don't realize is how fast these tubes reload. That if you duck behind an island, they're going to come out thinking that they're safe from you hitting them with torpedoes, and you're already reloaded. So something to be aware of. Now, I can't be spotted from there. I can be spotted from that smoke, but I'm not going to be spotted from that cruiser out there, St. Louis. It is well worth, by the way, getting the captain's perk of knowing when you're spotted, especially in destroyers. I think it's really important. You think you're safe somewhere and you're not, especially with all the toxic discussion about the aim mods and how people think they're able to be spotted pretty much just any old time and any old way. Now, I did not have the aim reticle on top of that guy. Got a smoke because I was spotted for sure. Right there. And everybody decided to take a shot at me. There's gunfire coming in from 5 different ships. So, where'd he go? Make it a wide spread. Go, spread it out. Alright, so I hit somebody with that first batch. That was 2 hits. And I think we're going to get somebody with that one too, if I'm not mistaken. So, swinging out from behind the islands, putting torpedoes down range, going back behind the islands, smoking when I have to. Yep, hit somebody there. I think that was at St. Louis. I think I hit him. I'm going to pop out here again and try and put some into those guys. Just as soon as I can make that turn without fear of running into the island. And not my own guy. I do not want to hit my own guy. I'm afraid I'm going to, but it's going to be close. It's going to be real close. Now I'm trying not to... yeah. So I got some that are going to go into this Miyogi, but he's going to make me pay for it. He's going to make me pay for it. So 2 shots into him. And that hurt him, but I am in very, very bad shape at this point. I'm just taking all kinds of fire. And I don't have smoke at this point. That's the other problem. I didn't have smoke. But I think in the end of that, well, we'll look at the post-game stats next, but I did put quite a few shots in there. I wish I'd taken that Miyogi out. If I'd have taken him out, I might have been able to make it around that island, but as it was, I just had way too much damage. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching these clips from some different fights in the Umikaze as well as the torpedo work. You know, get out there, practice, do your best, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care.